Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Rudali by Mahasweta Devi. In many parts of Rajasthan, they hire a women as professional mourners after the death of a relative. And these women are only referred to as Rudali, that is, female weeper. And these Rudalis will publicly express the grief of the family members who will not display their emotions due to their social status. And the Rudalis make a scene crying out loud, and they cry in such a way that all the people who come for the funeral will start crying on looking at them mourning. Mahasweta Devi is an eminent Indian Bengali writer and also a renowned social activist. And in this story, the main character is Sanichari. And why she is named as Sanichari is because she was born on a Saturday. And she is a Ganju woman who is living in the village called Tahat, which is in Chota Nagpur. And she is suffering from utter poverty, and all the villagers are also in the same state. They are all under severe poverty. Sanichari's mother-in-law keeps on telling her that whatever happens is because of Sanichari only, and she believed that Sanichari is destined, that is, her fate is to suffer only because she was born on a Saturday, and that is why they kept her name also as Sanichari. Whenever mother-in-law says anything, Sanichari will be quiet because of her age, and another reason is she is a mother-in-law. She is not supposed to answer back. And she faces a lot of oppression, and she faces a lot of miseries in her life, that she comes to a state where she is not able to cry on her own problems or for her own losses. That is, she did not cry at the death of her mother-in-law, brother-in-law and his wife, and even at the death of her own husband, she did not cry. This is because when her mother-in-law died, her husband and his brother were in jail because Malik Mahajan Ramavadar had put he had put all the young Dushad and Ganjamalis in the village in the prison, and among them were her husband and his brother. And Sanichari was left all by herself to do all the complete rites, and this she had to finish before the night ended. Otherwise, she had to pay more money for the repentance rites for not doing the rites on time. And she actually had no money. Actually, they were suffering of hunger. They did not have enough money even for food. So she did not have time to sit and mourn for her mother-in-law and shed tears, but she was only bothered about completing her rites on time. And at the time of the death of her brother-in-law and his wife, Malik Mahajan Ramadar had said that he would throw out all the Dushyats and Ganjus out of the village. Therefore, everyone in the village were terrified by the fear of being chased out. And in this condition, no one had the time to shed tears over the deaths of anyone. Therefore, even Sanichari did not have time to shed tears for the loss of her brother-in-law and his wife. And Sanichari hoped that she will live a better life with her husband. So both she and her husband worked very hard, and they built a little hut for them. All she wanted was to rear a cow that she would get from the Malik's wife, and her husband also planned to grow chilies and vegetables in the little courtyard which they had near their hut. They went to visit the Baisakhi Mela at Tokari to offer worship to Shiva for a new start. But all her dreams were shattered because in that place her husband drank the milk which was used for bathing the Shiva idol and which was distributed by the Pandas. And because of that, he got cholera, and the British government officials rushed him to the hospital. But there he died, leaving Sanichari and their 6-year-old Budwa alone. She was not given any time to shed tears by the government officers because they burnt her husband's corpse and took her and her son quickly to the vaccination camp. And she never knew that she wouldn't cry even at the death of her husband, but this was a shock for her, but this happened in her life. Now what happened is, the Panda of the Shiva temple at Tokiri demanded money for carrying out the rituals, and all she had was a rupee and a quarter, and that she gave him. And with that money, he made their son Budua to offer sand and sattu as pindadan. But when she returned to her village, the local priest Mohanlal got angry and said that she had insulted the local priest and she has also not done the rites properly. His question was, how will the person there know what should be done? What is the usual procedure of their own community? And only he knows what to do. And in order to satisfy him and get out of his anger, she borrowed rupees 20 to carry out her husband's Shraddha. And because of that, she was debtor to Ramadar. Now, Ramadar, when he gave rupees 20, he made her to press her thumbprint on a paper. She had actually borrowed only 20 rupees, but in the paper he wrote rupees 50. And in order to repay that, she has to work in Ramadar's field as bonded labor for 5 years. This was the agreement. Sanchari grew in this misery, but she loved her son so deeply, and now she built all her dreams around him. And he also grew up to live his father's dreams. He worked very hard in the yard to plant a vegetable patch in the garden, and that garden started blooming. But his hard labor affected him, and he was attacked by tuberculosis. Sanichari could see the death approaching her son, and her Bahu, that is Budwa's wife, was not at all happy. She was very unhappy in the house. She was not satisfied in that house, and she wanted to live a luxurious life, and she loved food. She wanted different food stuff. And when her husband died, she immediately left even before the cremation, abandoning their only son Harrow to live with a medicine man who had come there and who had assured her that he will show her different places and also serve her daily with puri kachori. Now Sanichari had her grandson in her arms and cremated her son Budwa. Now also she was unable to cry over the death of her son due to the depression she had suffered throughout her life. Now she brought up her son Harrow and with much care, and when he grew up, she gained a job for him under the new Malik Mahajan Lakshman Singh at the marketplace. He also went to work there, but after some time, a circus troupe came to their place, and when they left, he ran away along with the circus troupe. She went in search of him from one marketplace to another, but she was not able to find him. But she found her childhood friend Bikini, who was in a very same pathetic condition. So Sanichari asked Bikini to come and live with her in a hut. And they took up the advice of Dullan, who was a very intelligent person in that village. And he advised them to start their life as Rudalis or professional mourners. As luck would have it, their business as Rudalis flourished, because all the Maliks will consider it an honor and they'll spend a lot of money on fancy funerals, and this gave them a beautiful opportunity to earn their living. Now Sanichari and Bikini became more popular Rudalis and everyone wanted them at their funeral. They fixed and demanded different rates for different sorts of mourning. That is, only to come and cry, there was one rate. If they have to beat on their head, it was a different rate. If they have to beat their chest, it was a different rate. If they have to roll on the ground and mourn, it was a different rate. Like that, they demanded and they got lots of money. And when they demanded more and more number of Rudalis, what happened is, Bikini said she will go to Randipatti, which was a Wo's quarter. And she planned to fetch some Wo's to cry over the corpses Rudalis. So she went there, but unfortunately she was affected by plague and she died. The death of Bikini was a great blow to Sanichari, but she survived the loss as she had survived the other losses in her life. And when she went to Dullan, he advises not to give up their profession of funeral wailing, because that is a profession and hunger is more important than anything else in life. So he says you have a demand and people like you as Rudali, don't give it up. And the story ends with a major shift in the life of Sanichari, because she transforms from a weak woman to a fighter, from a victim to empowerment. And she goes to the Randi market. She calls the host to join with her for Rudali work. And she comes back with 100 Rudalis to mourn the death of Gambhir Singh. Gambhir Singh's nephew and his Gumasta are shocked at the sight of 100 Rudalis. They were much worried about the payment they have to give to Rudalis because they cannot refuse it. And it is one of the honor for the family. And they saw that these 100 Rudalis were hitting on their head and wailing. And this all had a very good impact on the prestige in their society. Therefore, they knew they have to give a heavy amount to them. Finally, we see Sanchari emerging as a natural leader to the community who were actually victims earlier. The same tears which were not shed for her own loss were shed for commercialization. And she used this to give back to the people who made her a victim earlier. And finally, a person who could not shed tears on her own grief becomes a professional mourner and also a sign of empowerment. The story ends here. It's a beautiful story. In fact, it was also made into a movie, but there were certain changes in the movie and it won many awards also. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you're not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. Thank you.